iCharger x12, 1100 watts, 30 amps, 12S battery. I mean, just the balance port in the side of this thing is impressive alone. I've never seen a 12S battery in person. I was hoping to get one to be able to test this thing with a 12S battery in this video. I don't have one, but I've got a bunch of 6S, so we're at least gonna get to go through this charger and see what it can do. Not all of what it can do, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't fully understand when it comes to the iChargers. These things are powerhouses. They really have a lot of features and functions, most of which I personally would never use. I know there's a lot of you guys, especially you guys out there, that would get the most out of this charger, that know what those functions and features are, and I'll leave those to you. There is a very big manual that's on the store link in the description, buddyrc.com. It'll walk you through everything this charger does. So if you're more of the type of person that likes to read, that is there. If you're the type of person that likes to watch some hillbilly click through a menu and talk about it, that's why we're here. So let's check it out. Welcome back, I'm TJ. We are talking, well, as we said at the beginning, iCharger x12. Well, if you don't know what iCharger is, iCharger's been around for quite a while. buddyrc has actually been a distributor for iCharger since 2009, which is like more than a few years ago. And the biggest thing that I like, that I actually talked about in the S6 video that we did just a couple weeks ago, is buddyrc is a full-on warranty place for iCharger. So if you buy an iCharger from us, you email us if you have a problem, and we're going to help you. Even if it's under warranty, you can send it back to us. We're going to fix it right here in house. We're going to do everything we can to take care of you. So that is one feature that, you know, buddyrc offers that other dealers might not be able to offer. Anyway, this charger, it is quality. One thing iCharger's been known for is accuracy, and this charger is no different right out of the box. You know, the accuracy for this is dead on. You can adjust it, you can calibrate it, all the fun stuff. It's all still here. This is iCharger. I've said iCharger like 65 times at this point, so we won't say iCharger no more, iCharger. But the idea is, this is, I mean, it fits in your hand. It does 12S batteries, 1100 watts. It'll jump up to 30 amps. I mean, there's so much this can do. Discharge, 50 watts. If you do regenerative discharge, which if you're not really sure what that means if you have an output here. So let's say that we are using, that's okay. Let's just say we're using this as our input. So this is what we're charging off of. Yeah, it's a little puffy. Don't worry about it. That's why it's a test battery. So we're charging off of this, and we're charging this battery. And then we look outside and it starts raining. And we decide that we're not flying today, so we need to go back into storage mode. But we don't want to just do it at 50 watts, that it's going to take a while. We can actually, since we're using this battery, we can do what's called a regenerative discharge, where this is actually going to be able to put out the full-on 1100 watts, where it drains this battery down to storage charge while charging this battery back up. So that's just a feature. I don't know if you guys have heard about that before. I think it's pretty cool, and I do that a lot whenever, I mean, I tend to charge batteries and then storage charge batteries, because I don't fly as much as I wish I could. With that being said, let's hit the little points of this. So we already touched on 1100 watts, 30 amps, 12S. Input voltage could be 11 to 54 volts. For your balance current, as this charges, it's trying to balance the cells, you're going to get 2 amp balance rate, which is actually fairly high compared to most chargers on the market now. I think some of the other brands kind of top out at 1.5 amps per cell. So that's a huge benefit for this charger. And then just do a quick look around the charger. So on the back, we have the input. It's just an XT60 connector with a micro USB port for hooking up to your computer. This actually does logs and different things that, again, the menu or the manual is actually going to break everything down, tell you how to do it. It'll come with a little CD that you can use. You can also go to the website to download the actual software for these. SD card where you can expand the memory selection and things like that. On the side, it has this menu scroll wheel button thing. Kind of touched on that on the S6 video that we did. It's not a make or break for the iChargers. It's just something that I really hope in the next iteration of iChargers that they change. So in the previous version, not the S6 that's coming out soon, the X6 or 6X or what was that one? Yeah, X6, I got it right here. The scroll wheel on the side was awful. It's very thin, it feels cheap, it worked, but it was still not great. They upgraded these to where they're a thicker scroll wheel. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's not a benefit. It's the actual only downfall that I have with these chargers. But again, it's not a make or break. I'm using the S6 charger daily for myself. So, you know, it's fine. iCharger, do something different the next time, you know. But yeah, so scroll wheel, fans on this side. On the bottom, you have a little stand here. You know, it makes it stand. There's also a vent on the bottom. More vents on this side with your multi-function port. So that's going to have it. It comes with a temperature probe that you can plug in there and kind of put on top of your battery. So it's going to measure the external temperature of your battery. This has internal temperature readings as well. You can do servo testing, receivers. You got an XT60 output here, and then your giant 12S balance port on this side. And it really does look crazy. Like I want to see a 12S battery in my hand so I can see that monster. Maybe I can get somebody to send us one. But that's pretty much the gist of this. So again, it feels solid, it looks really good. iCharger makes quality stuff, and this is no different. You know, it's kind of, well, let's see here. So this is the X6. It's a little bit smaller than the one we just did. If you haven't seen the S6 video and you're curious, I'll link that up here somewhere. I don't know where it does it anymore. I think it's here. Check that video out. Once you're done watching this one, you can see what it's like. Both the S6 and this X12 charger are due out this fall. So it's pretty much fall now. Anytime now, we can expect to see these. If you're curious, you can go to buddyrc.com and go to the store pages and actually sign up to see when these go in stock, so you can be one of the first ones to get one in your hand. But size comparison to the X6 versus the X12, you see the X12 is actually, it's not twice as big, man. It's about fairly similar size. That's the whole point of this is this thing is tiny. It's kind of ridiculous what this can actually do when you think about it for the size. I mean, a few years ago, that's unheard of. So I'm just excited because I did some searching to see kind of what was equivalent out there along like this line. Not really anything that I could find. Obviously, you 12S guys are doing something to charge your batteries, but I think this is going to really feel something out there. So I'll quit rambling on about it. Let's jump into the menu system and kind of scroll through. I don't have a 12S battery, but I do have my long range 6S packs. We're going to put these in parallel charge and at least get this thing up to 30 amps just to see if we can do it. It's not something I did in the S6 video, so kind of want to do it in this one. While we're not going to get the full 1100 amps out of the charger with this setup, it is going to let us kind of see some of the charger actually putting out some amps. So let's dive into that. See you there. Okay, final setup here. Everything you see here is on buddyrc, so if there's anything you're interested in, I will put it in the description. I've got our little XT60 to the 4mm bullets into the para board, and then the Gens Ace 2600 6Ls, 3 of them, with our heavily used 6000 Glacier 6S. And straight into what we're talking about today is the iCharger X12. So now we will get you set up on the tripod and dive into the menus. All right, one thing that I want to do right when this thing starts up is I want to go in and tell it what input I'm using. And with our scroll wheel here on the right, you know, you got up, down, push, in. If you hold up, so let's say we want to test the internal resistance of our batteries, without actually starting to charge and going through the menus. Then if you hold up on your wheel, gets IR, and it will actually update and tell you what the internal resistance is without needing to necessarily charge the batteries. And then just the same as we just held up on the wheel, if you hold down, it will go into the system menu. So down here at input and power limit, we can go in and we can actually change these to like low voltage limit from 11 to 52 volts, depending on what our actual input is. If we're using a power supply, that's not necessarily, well, important. Using a battery like this, so we are using a 6-cell 22.2 volt, so we're going to call it 21 volts. I don't want to lower that battery any lower than 21. So we can come in here, say 21 there. Current limit for this battery, 5C is 6,000 milliamp hours, so that would be 30 amp. So we're actually going to just take this down. We're going to call it 31 amps because I do want to take it to 30. So we're going to call it 31 amp. 1100 watt is fine. Regenerative. So this is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, where if we're using a pack like this and we wanted to have it set up to where if we wanted to discharge or storage charge our flight packs back into our input battery, then that's where we come in here and select Regenerative Enable, voltage limit. You know, we could pick voltage limit, current limit, everything. So for this battery, obviously, we can bump it up. We'll just call it 23, because I'm lazy. Call it 23, current limit. Since we're putting it back in, so we're charging this battery, 2C, so we can call it 12 amps. 1100 watts, sure. Capacity limit, not really. Save. So now, our top one here, this is our input, and it's already selected. And then we can hit save. And then through here, you can see all of your different, temperature and fans. It walks you through everything. Beep tone, we can actually turn these off. Save, so you don't have to listen to it beep as we go through the video. That's a good one. LCD screen, brightness, contrast. Just went through that one. Save and load, configuration, language, calibration. This is one that not a lot of people use, but we actually get asked a lot about this. iCharger can be calibrated. It comes from the factory really solid, so it's not something I've done or had to do. Log files, like it actually does log, servo test, pulse test, monitor, exit. Now to get into the menu system, if you click once, it brings up these presets. LiPo, lithium ion, all of your different presets here. It has 9 of them. If you hold down, it'll come into this menu where you can edit, move, or add. So we want to add one, and what I'm going to do is I'm using 3 2600 milliamp 6S packs. I'm going to make a model per se for these batteries in this specific configuration. So we're going to add, we're going to come up here, and we're just going to back up. So holding down deletes, and we're going to call this, I don't know what we're going to call this, 2600. We'll just say 2600, 6S 2600. That sounds better. 6. So when you find the one you're looking for, just click in once, it'll save it. 6S. And in the interest of time, we're going to stop right here. So then click again to save it. We are going to come down here, auto on cells, capacity ignore. We're setting this one up to charge. Charge current. So with these, with this setup specifically just for this video, we're going to charge these. It's actually like a 3.8 C charge rate, which is fine. Batteries we're using will do a 5C charge rate, which I usually only do 2C. So for video, for science purposes, we're going to 30 amp. So 30 amp. Now here is one of the specifics for iCharger that is a little different. You have normal balance, slow balance, not balanced at all, or fast balance. And what it is inside here, fast balance will get the cells within 8 millivolts of each other. And what it does is that gives it more of a range. So if we actually go back, and then the CV here, this is once your batteries get within 0.2 volts of being fully charged, it will actually start to balance. And then just so fast balance is 8 millivolt. If we go to normal balance, it should be 5, yeah, so 5 millivolt. And then slow balance, 3 millivolt. And if you go in here and you set it as user, you can actually go from 1 millivolt to 10 millivolt. I've not done that myself, but I would assume if we did like 1 millivolt on balance charge, it's going to take absolutely forever for these batteries to balance. I leave it on normal, and even on normal, it tends to, I mean, it gets them really accurate, but for me, it's one of those where it's like, come on, man, I just want to go fly. So if I'm out in the field and I'm trying to get done in a hurry, I'll put it on fast balance and, you know, bump up the charge current and get these things done faster. Charge, cell voltage, you can actually move this up and down. Now if you want to do like a lithium high volt, technically you can do it here, but you can select the lithium high voltage so it doesn't like alarm. You see how it's got the little thing, the little triangle. If we had the sounds on, this thing would be beeping like crazy right now. Go back and then come down. So this actually, while we're here, you can see we got charge, you got storage charge, you got discharge, you got cycle. Cycle sounds just like it says. It will charge and discharge, and charge and discharge, or discharge and charge, or charge and storage charge. Actually here, just look. It's got charge to discharge, discharge to charge to storage, charge, and then discharge down to storage. So it's got all these different functions. You can come down a cycle count. You can tell it how many times to do that, how much time to rest between the cycles. So that's something that a lot of chargers actually don't have, or just balance your cells. So we're going to go back up. We're going to put this on charge. Didn't mean to do that. And need to find where save at. Save. So now you can see we have LiPo 6S2 up here, the one we just made. If we click it, then it opens this up. All of the settings we just did are saved. We can select charge, storage, discharge. We're actually going to just click charge. Yes, we want to run this program. And let's see what happens. So this thing ramps up pretty quickly. Now while it's doing this, you can see up here at the top right, this is the amps that is going into our parallel batteries right now. So 25, 26 amps at 24 volts, 3.9. So these are individual cells. This is our voltage for our battery input, the amps coming off our battery input. So while it's only at 26 amps up here, the limiting factor right now is my 31 amp input rating. So when we set up our input, I said I didn't want it going more than 31 amps. So that's why it's limiting us, is our input is actually at 31 amps right now. So if I allowed it to go to 35 amps, it most likely would bump it up to 30 amp input. You can see our temperature internally right now is 36 Celsius. Capacity bar here, the wattage is 600 watts. And then if we scroll down, you can see the internal resistance on the batteries by cell, by overall, the info, power limits, what we can expect. So input low voltage is 21 volts, which it may end up shutting us off here soon because we're already down to 21.4. Coming on down to capacity, this is how much it's put in each cell. And otherwise, you can tell these Wi-Fi bars is kind of what they're doing as far as balancing. You know, which cells are getting balanced. You got 4.023. You can see they're picking some of them up. All right, so now that we've done some charging, let's see what else we can do. So let's go down through here. And then one of the things that I don't really do, so we can set up different, memory things for anything we want to do, which is fine, but I tend not to really do that. With iChargers, and most specifically the one I use, I tend to just kind of keep it on the same one. So even if I want to charge, I'll just come in here and hold down on charge, and then it'll allow us to come over here and change like current, cells, balance, and adjust it kind of on the fly. And then same thing with storage charge, same thing, we can adjust it, hold down to go back, discharge, cycle, we can do it all without needing to create a new memory model thing every single time. And while some people prefer the memories, I've never really used them. I'll set one up if I'm using something all the time, but for the most part, this is what I do. So let's just do a storage charge. And I'm gonna drop these down a little bit. Just say 1.8 or 3.8 to give us some room, and then just start and let it run. All right, guys, while that might not have been like as technical or as in-depth or as crazy as you can actually go with the iCharger, if you're questioning what I'm talking about, just take a look at the manual. Even if you don't want to read all of it, just skim through it. See some of the words and things that they have in that manual that this would actually do. And if you're like me, it's kind of impressive. Price point for this right out of the gate when it comes out, it's gonna be $179.99. Obviously this is a specific charger for a specific audience. 12S. If you are like me and you're running 6S batteries, the S6 that's coming out, again, link in the description. That one's gonna be more affordable. I can't remember the price off the top of my head, but it's one of those where the S6 charger for me is perfect. I would never use something like this. So you guys that are using this know who you are. You know what this is going to be good for. And I hope you learned something. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe if you're not. Click the bell so you can see notifications when I show up to show you new stuff like this. If you have ideas or things that you want me to do, specifically, if I can get a 12S battery, if you'd be interested in seeing if this would actually put out to 1100 watts, pro tip, it will. Let me know, and we'll actually do stuff like that. But until then, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.